While other Premier League clubs are still warming up their engines ahead of pre-season, Arne Slot's Liverpool are already showing that the transfer market is no place for the faint-hearted, and Anfield is set to boil over with exciting news in the coming days. With pre-season due to kick off on the 8th of July at the state-of-the-art AXA training centre, Liverpool are already moving behind the scenes to ensure the squad is in top shape. New faces will begin to mix with seasoned veterans, and according to sources close to the club, there's plenty more to come. The goal? To bolster the team with strategic, pinpoint signings, such as Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong and Milos Kerkez, who are already expected to report in the coming days. But the name on everyone's lips now is a different one, and it's stirring real excitement among the fans. Marc Guehi, the English centre-back who impressed last season at Crystal Palace, is edging ever closer to donning the famous red shirt. And this isn't just rumour, it's all but confirmed that personal terms between the player and Liverpool have already been fully agreed. The need for a new centre-back is nothing new. With the imminent departure of Jarell Quansah, set to join Bayer Leverkusen for around £35 million in search of more game time ahead of the 2026 World Cup, manager Arne Slot will be left with just 3 senior centre-backs at his disposal. This is where Guehi enters the picture as a key figure in the defensive rebuild. According to DaveOcCop.com, Liverpool have already finalised the contractual details with Guehi, salary agreed, contract length settled, and everything now hinges on the final step, negotiations with Crystal Palace. The London club, meanwhile, are not in a strong position. With only 1 year left on his deal and no clear intention from the player to renew, Palace know they must sell now if they want to recoup any value before he walks for free. Although Palace value Guehi at a hefty £70 million, the current situation could bring the fee down to a much more realistic figure, around £40 million. That's an investment Liverpool seem willing to make, especially when considering the context. Guehi is a full England international, played a vital role in Palace's historic FA Cup triumph, their first major trophy, and is determined to cement his place in the squad for the upcoming World Cup. At 24, the defender is hitting his prime and sees Liverpool as the perfect stage to solidify his status as a starter for the Three Lions. More than just an immediate reinforcement, he would represent a solid long-term investment, especially with Ibrahima Konate's future still uncertain and Virgil van Dijk entering the final 2 years of his contract. What's more, Konate has reportedly turned down a contract renewal, further raising alarm bells at Anfield. But Liverpool aren't alone in this sea of opportunities. On the contrary, the race for Marc Guehi has been fierce, with stiff competition. Tottenham Hotspur and Newcastle United had already made attempts to sign the defender in previous windows, without success. Even European giants Inter Milan, fresh off a Champions League final appearance, expressed interest. Yet it appears Arne Slot's vision for Guehi proved the most compelling. And that's no small feat. Slot is clearly shaping a Liverpool side with a distinct identity, faster, stronger, and more tactical. The Dutch manager is keen to make his mark in his first full season in charge, and this new era promises to be electrifying. The World Cup factor is also influencing the defender's decision. The next tournament will be held across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and promises to be a landmark event. Guehi wants to be there as England's starting centre-back, and he knows he needs a club that can offer him consistency, competitiveness, and visibility. Liverpool provides all that, plus tradition, and a real chance to compete for silverware every season. If confirmed, the deal for Marc Guehi would be more than just a signing, it would be a bold statement to the market and to Liverpool's rivals. The Reds are not just reinforcing their squad, they're rebuilding a winning DNA, with youth, ambition, and a manager unafraid to think big. With personal terms agreed, all that remains is to finalise the deal with Crystal Palace. All signs point to a green light if the fee stays within the £40 million range. And then, Reds fans, get ready to see Guehi step out onto the Anfield turf and take on a central role in Liverpool's backline. And don't be surprised if Arne Slot pulls more tricks from his sleeve in the coming weeks. A new forward is also on the radar, especially if Darwin Núñez is sold, and the club continues to scout options for the left-hand side of the pitch. Meanwhile, pre-season is fast approaching, and Liverpool's 2025 edition is beginning to take shape. Excitement is growing, the behind-the-scenes activity is buzzing, and all signs point to a new era that could go down in history. Watch this space. If you thought Liverpool had already played all their cards by reaching a personal agreement with Marc Guéhi, think again. Arne Slot still has aces up his sleeve. And now, the Reds are aiming even higher. The Anfield club have entered the race in full force to sign one of the most sought-after centre-backs in Europe, Frenchman Castello Luquiba from RB Leipzig, and they're not alone in this battle. Hot on the heels of wrapping up the Guéhi deal, Slot is keen to go further. The Dutch manager knows that the spine of his defence needs not just refreshing but reinforcing, not only for the present, but with an eye firmly on the future. And in that mission, Luquiba has emerged as Liverpool's next strategic target, a young, resilient talent with natural leadership qualities. At just 22, Luquiba already commands respect across the Bundesliga. Since moving from Lyon to RB Leipzig in 2023 to replace the hugely talented Joko Gvardiol, it didn't take long for him to establish himself as the bedrock of the German side's defence. He made 41 appearances in his debut season, and even after a 2-month injury layoff, returned with composure and strength. In the latest campaign, despite physical setbacks, he still shone in 31 matches, maintaining his solidity and precision. But it's not only at club level that Luquiba proves his worth. He also represented France at the Under-21 Euros, showing both grit and composure despite the team's early exit. And he's made no secret of his ambitions. He wants a return to the senior national team and knows the only way to get there is by maintaining elite-level performances at top clubs. This is where Liverpool come in, with a heavyweight project, trophies in the cabinet, and real space for him to shine even brighter. If there's one thing Arne Slot values as much as technical ability, it's a winning mentality and humble hunger for success. And Luquiba has that in abundance. In an interview following France's Under-21 exit, the defender said, "It's always an honor to wear the blue shirt, no matter the age. To go out like this, to leave that mark, it hurts. But I remain ambitious." That sort of statement is music to the ears of any manager thinking long-term. For Slot, Luquiba represents not just a replacement, but potentially a cornerstone in the tactical reshaping of Anfield. Slot's playing style is already beginning to take shape, with clear differences from the Klopp era. Where once the explosive gegenpressing defined Liverpool, now a more controlled, possession-based style is emerging, with solid build-up from the back. And this is exactly where Luquiba fits like a glove, composed in possession, calm under pressure, dominant in one-on-one duels, and confident in carrying the ball forward. His technical profile makes him an ideal partner alongside the likes of Van Dijk, now approaching the twilight of his career, Konate, whose future is uncertain after rejecting a renewal, and potentially Marc Guéhi, forming an elite trio that blends youth and experience. Liverpool, however, are not alone in their pursuit. German giants Bayern Munich, always quick movers in the market, are also tracking Luquiba. And Tottenham Hotspur, who have been on the hunt for centre-backs for months, want in too. So what gives Liverpool the edge? Simple, a solid sporting project, guaranteed Champions League football, a recent Premier League title, and a fanbase that transforms Anfield into a magical cauldron. All of this backed by a clear technical plan under Arne Slot, who is not only aiming to win, but to build a new legacy at the club. And here's more. Although Luquiba is under contract until 2029, RB Leipzig are reportedly willing to listen to offers below the €90 million release clause. Sources close to the player and club estimate that around £60 million could be enough to seal the deal. Liverpool's intense activity in the defensive department is no coincidence. With Joel Matip gone and Van Dijk edging closer to the end of his cycle, the club must act swiftly and wisely. Betting on Luquiba alongside Guéhi isn't just about immediate impact, but a 5 to 7 year investment with high returns, technically, physically, and tactically. With one eye on the present and the other on the 2026 World Cup, Slot knows he needs a defensive core capable of competing against Europe's finest. And players like Luquiba don't come around every year. If Liverpool manage to beat Bayern to his signature, it will be another clear signal that the Reds are ready to dominate the next decade. Liverpool's pre-season begins on the 8th of July, and the club is eager to finalise the bulk of its signings by then. With Guéhi all but secured, bringing in Luquiba would be the final flourish, sealing a refreshed, elite defence. Behind the scenes, things are heating up fast, and the Liverpool board is working with discretion, but with purpose, to push the deal forward.